Hi everyone. Today I'm going to share with you a math mini lesson to give some reminders about adding and subtracting with regrouping. So we're going to start with addition. I have 438 plus 375. We know that when we're adding multi-digit numbers together, we always want to start in the ones place. So I'm going to be taking a look at my 8 and my 5. Take a minute and see if you can do some quick mental math and add together 8 plus 5. All right, if you got 13, nice job. You are using the same thinking I am, and I'm going to record that answer right on the side of my problem here. I know that 13 is also a two-digit number, and I can't put the 1 and the 3 both in the ones place. I'm going to keep my 3 ones in my ones place, and I'm going to take this 10 and I'm going to move it over as a bundle of 110 into the tens place. Now I'm going to move over to my tens column. I have a 3, a 7, and that extra 10 that I just carried over from my ones. So I'm going to add these 3 digits together. I know that 7 plus 3 gives me 10. 7 and 3 are friends of 10, plus my extra 10 is going to give me a total of 11. I know that 11 is also a two-digit number. I can't record that all in the tens place, so I'm going to put down my 110 and I'm going to bring over my bundle of 10 tens over to the hundreds place. Now I'm going to move all the way over and take a look at my final column for this problem, my hundreds place. So I have 4 plus 3 plus that bundle I just brought over. So I know that I can take my 3 and add it to my 1 to get 4. Then this becomes a doubles fact of 4 plus 4, which gives me a total, or a sum, I should say, of 8. So I will record that here. So my complete addition problem is 438 plus 375 gives me a sum of 813. Nice job. Now we're going to move on to subtraction. My subtraction problem for today is 723 minus 568. When we start talking about subtraction, we always start in the ones place as well for multi-digit numbers, but we need to ask ourselves a different question. We need to ask ourselves if we have enough to take away. So I'm taking a look at my ones column and I'm noticing I have an 8 on the bottom and a 3 on the top. I'm going to ask myself, can I take 8 away from 3? And I know that I can't do that. I don't have enough. So what I'm going to need to do is move over to my tens column and I am going to unbundle my 2 tens. I'm going to leave 1 behind and I'm going to bring 1 bundle over and break it up into 10 ones so I can turn this 3 into 13. If I have 13 and I subtract it from 8, take a second and do some mental math to see if you can solve that. All right, I'm going to record my 5 right underneath my ones column. Now that I've solved in my ones, I'm going to move on and take a look at my tens column. So I only have 1 10 left on top. I'm trying to take 6 away. So since I don't have enough, I'm going to move into my hundreds column. I'm going to unbundle these 700s. I'm going to leave 6 behind, and I'm going to unbundle 1 group of 100 into 10 tens to give me 11. Now I can successfully take 6 away from 11. Take a second and see if you can solve in your brain 11 minus 6. All right, I'm going to record down my 5. And now I'm going to move into my final column, my hundreds column. So here, I'm going to ask myself, can I take 5 away from 6? And I know that I can. I have enough to take away. So if I take 5 away from 6, I'm going to be left with 1. So my total problem would be 723 minus 568 equals 155. I hope this helped you, and if you have any questions, feel free to email your teacher. Have fun solving! Hi everyone. I'm going to talk about another strategy we can use to add and subtract multi-digit numbers. I know that a lot of students in my class really like to use the break apart strategy, so I'm going to give an example of using the break apart strategy for an addition and a subtraction problem. I'm going to start with addition. The addition problem I chose is 438 plus 375. When I look at these two numbers, I'm going to think about how I can break these two numbers apart into hundreds, tens, and ones so that I can add them together more easily. So what I did was I started by breaking up 438 into 400 plus 30 plus 8. I have 4 hundreds, 3 tens, and 8 ones. I did the same thing with 375, breaking it apart into 300 plus 70 plus 5, giving me 3 hundreds, 7 tens, and 5 ones. When I took a look at my hundreds, tens, and ones, I quickly noticed that I had 3 tens and 7 tens. And I know that 3 and 7 are friends of 10, and that if I add them together, these tens can bundle together to make a group of 100. So I added 30 plus 70 together, and my new addition sentence now is 400 plus 300 plus 100 plus 8 plus 5. When I take a look at this, I see that I have a 300 and a 100. If I add 300s plus 100, I can make another group of 400. So if I do that, I'll be able to add 400 plus 400, which is just like a doubles fact of 4 plus 4. So I did that. I added my 300 plus my 100, which gave me now 400 plus 400 plus 8 plus 5. When I add 400 plus 400, I know that 4 plus 4 is 8, and if I have 800s, it will equal 800. So I have my 800. I did some fast math of 8 plus 5. I know that 8 can be broken up into 5 and 3. If I add 5 plus 5, I get 10, plus my 3 more is 13. So 438 plus 375 equals a sum of 813. You can try this and you might find a different way to break apart your numbers. That's okay. There's lots of different ways you can solve this using the break apart strategy. Let's take a look at my subtraction problem now. My subtraction problem is 723 minus 568. We can also break apart these numbers to help us subtract more easily. So when I looked at these two numbers, I needed to break them apart. And when I did that, I decided to break these two numbers up into 600 and 123 and 568. I knew that I needed to make sure I had numbers from 723 that were bigger than the numbers from 568 so that I could take them away easily. So I'm going to start by looking at my 600 and my 500. When I subtract 600 from 500, how many do I have left? I have 100 left. So I marked that down right here by showing if I take 500 away from 600, I have 100 left. And I'm going to make a mark of that up here because I am going to need that for my final answer. Now that I have subtracted my 600 and my 500, I have this 123 and 68 left. So I made a new subtraction sentence right here to show that. When I subtract these two numbers, they're not easy numbers to subtract in my brain, so I'm going to break them down even more. And what I did was I took my 123 and I took out my 100 and I took out my 23. And I took my 68 and I took out my 60 and I took out my 8. Okay? So when I do that, I have 100 minus 60. Well, I know that 60 plus 40 will give me 100. So 100 minus 60, I'll have 40 left over right here. Over here, I have 23 minus 8. I did some counting back in my brain, and 23 minus 8 left me with 15. So now that I've subtracted these two numbers, I need to add them back together. See if you can do some fast math in your brain for 40 plus 15. Okay, I know that 40 plus 15 will give me 55. I took my 55 and put it back on top with my 100 from earlier. If I add together my 100 plus 55, I know that 723 minus 568 will give me an answer of 155. Remember, you might break apart your numbers differently than me, and that's okay. I hope that this strategy was helpful for you and you give it a try when you solve some of your problems this week.
Hi boys and girls, today I'm going to show you how to add and subtract using base 10 visuals. Now I know Miss Perry showed you two other strategies for adding and subtracting, one being the standard algorithm and another one being the break apart strategy. Some of you also find it helpful to draw visuals of what you're adding and subtracting, so that's what I'm going to show you today. If you want to work along with me, you can pause your video, grab a pencil, a piece of paper, and I think that's it. So we're going to get started right away. On your piece of paper, you're going to want to draw a place value chart to help keep your visuals organized. I've separated mine into 4 columns, one to represent the thousands, the hundreds, the tens, and the ones place. So the first problem I'm going to be working on is 438 plus 375. I know that addition sign or that plus sign means that I'm putting the two numbers together. So what I'm going to do when I'm illustrating this equation is I'm going to represent both numbers and then put them together. So first I'm going to draw 438. So I'm going to draw 400s. These aren't my best. 30, so I need 3 tens, and 8 ones. When I do my ones, I like to organize them in my 10 frame. It helps when I'm regrouping. So I have 5 and 3 more, that's 8. So I've made 438. Now I'm going to build 375. Hundreds, 1, 200, 375. So I need 7 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. Now I am ready to start. Okay, whenever I add or subtract using my tens and ones, I always start in my ones place. This is what some of us forget to do. I always start in my ones place. Sometimes we put little smiley face in our ones place here to represent our ones like this. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is I definitely see more than 10 ones, which means I'm going to have to regroup or bundle. So I see I have 5 and 3, that makes 8. If I just get 2 more, I can make a 10. So I'm going to bundle these. I'm going to regroup into my tens place. Okay, so these I have turned into 110. Now how many ones am I left with? 3. Okay, now I'm going to add up my tens. So I know that 10 tens make 100. Let's see if I have 10 tens here. Well, I see that I have 5 and 2 more, that's 7. I would need 3 more to get 10 tens. Do I have that? I do. I see right here. Bundle these into 100. Okay. How many am I left with? 110. Okay, now I'm going to add up my hundreds. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. So my answer is 813. Okay. Does that seem reasonable? Well, it's definitely bigger than what my numbers are. So yes, if it was smaller, I'd be concerned because I'm putting the two numbers together. I should get a bigger answer. If I said this is about 400, this is about 400, 400 plus 400 is 800. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Okay, let's move on to subtraction. Okay, I have the equation 723 minus 568. I know that that minus sign means subtraction, means take away. When I'm using my base 10 pieces, I'm going to build my first number and then take away the second number. So I don't actually draw the 568, which is sometimes gets confusing. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's build 723. So 700. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should have organized these better, but I didn't have the space. 23, so I need 2 tens to represent 20 and 3 ones. Okay, so I have built 723. Now I have to take away 568. Now, like before I said, we always start in our ones place when we're subtracting. Okay, so first I'm going to take away my ones. Well, this 8 is in my ones place, so I need to take away 8 ones. Uh-oh, I can't take away 8 ones. So what can I do? Well, I can borrow a 10 and I can unbundle that into 10 ones. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 10 and I'm going to unbundle it. So in 110, there are 10 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now can I take away 8 ones? Yeah, I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many am I left with? 5. It's in my 10 frame, so I can recognize that 5 right away. Great, I subtracted my ones. Now I need to subtract my tens. It wants me to subtract 6 tens. Now let's look at the tens we have. Can I subtract 6 tens? No, I only have 1, so I'm going to go next door and I'm going to ask to borrow 100. Why I do that is because I can unbundle the 100 into 10 tens. There's 10 tens and 100. So I'm going to borrow this 100 and I'm going to unbundle it in my tens place to represent 10 tens, which is 100. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Okay, great. Now, can I take away 6 tens? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 tens are 60. How many am I left with? 5 tens. Okay, now I'm going to subtract my hundreds. I need to take away 5 hundreds. I should have that many hundreds or else I'm in trouble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 500. How many am I left with? 1. So my answer is 155. Is that reasonable? Is my answer less than what I started with? Is it less than 723? Yes. If it was larger, I did something wrong because remember, subtraction means taking away. I hope that helped. This is one way that you can solve addition and subtraction problems that we will be continuing to practice this year.